Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the I'm First Google Hangout. This week, we'll be talking about college visits. That's something that's really, really important, really major in the lives of high school seniors and juniors right now. A lot of times, when you go to a college campus, you're kind of just standing on the yard, you're looking around at the students, you're looking at the buildings, you're like, okay, I'm here, this is cool, but what else? So the name of our Google Hangout, or the title of our Google Hangout, is I'm on a college campus. Now what? So what we really want to do in this Hangout is really give you a good sense of the different things that you should be looking at and the different questions that you should be asking as you're on your college visit. Again, this is a time that you're able to see what the campus is like, and you'll actually be able to interact with folks that are there. So we want to make sure that you are using your time as wisely as possible. So on this Hangout, we have awesome, awesome, awesome college reps who will be talking a bit about their particular college campuses, but also just college campuses in general and what you should be doing as you're visiting colleges. So I'm going to hand it over to you guys so you can introduce yourselves, and after introductions, we'll jump right into the questions.
Well, all right. My name's Wesley Don. I'm with Willamette University. I'm an admission counselor there, and Chelsea gave us three awesomes, so that's pretty exciting. I like to think I'm pretty all right, but the I graduated from Willamette in May of 2014, so I'm a recent alum of the university. Went through my college search not too long ago, and I had a degree in history. And I'm just hopeful and excited about sharing my perspectives on the college search process and especially college visits with you all. Since I didn't visit nearly as many colleges as I probably should have, but I did visit Willamette, and it helped me decide to go there. So I'll use that insight and kind of whatever else I've seen in my time as an admission counselor to try and help you all as you think about visiting colleges. So thank you all for checking this out.
All right, and I'm Rudy Roll. I'm an admissions counselor at Manchester University. I graduated in May of 2014 as well, so pretty fun. So yeah, I'm really excited. This is my first Google Hangout, so I'm excited to talk with you guys about college visits and how important they are and all that good stuff.
All right. My name is Chelsea Teddy. I'm a Manchester admissions counselor. I also am a Manchester alum. I graduated in 2014, so we have a nice class of 2014. I majored in social work with minors in criminal justice and gerontology. So a little bit out of my field, but still enjoy working with the high school students and stuff. So I'm excited to share my experience and help you guys get some knowledge as well.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Well, I don't even know if I introduced myself, but these people know me already. I'm on every Hangout each month. But if you don't, this is your first time watching a Hangout, I am Chelsea Jones. I am the Associate Director of Student Programs here at First. And I did not graduate in 2014. I graduated in 2011. But we are still cool. We were still all family. So let's jump right into the questions. So this question is for all. And it is, what is the importance of visiting a college campus? You know, a lot of students are sort of banged in the head with that information, like, you need to visit a college campus. So could you explain why it's so important to visit?
So I'll start with this one. So I think the importance of visiting a college is that you're going to be spending a good amount of time at this school if you go there. So say you're going for your bachelor's degree, you're going to be at that place for the next 4 years. So I think visiting is the best way to see if you like the campus, you like the community, you like the food. I'm a big food person, so you got to see if you like the food. So yeah, I think that's the best way to tell if you're going to be happy there, be successful there, is to actually go and visit, test it out, like a nice little test drive.
Well, I think just like Rudy was saying, the idea that when you visit a college campus, you'll be able to see how you fit in there, or if you think you could fit in there. And I think that the idea of fit is kind of an intangible thing, kind of a catchphrase that you'll probably hear a lot in the college search process. And I think there are some questions later that we'll be able to answer that will help you think about some things and some questions you can ask that can help you figure out if you'll fit in at a place. But I also want to point out, and I always point this out, is that a college visit can help you decide if you don't fit in at a place also, like if you don't feel like it's a good place for you to go to. And I think that's just as worthwhile to learn as if you do absolutely love a place and want to be there. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's what I want to say about that.
Awesome, good stuff. That's all obviously good information. Just like you wouldn't buy a car without test driving it. The same goes for visiting a college campus. You definitely want to, get on campus to get a feel of it before you commit, the rest of your life. Not the rest of your life, but the next 4 to 5 years of your life on being on campus. So, awesome answers, guys. So we are gonna head on to question number 2. And question number 2 is, what are the pros and possible cons of visiting a college campus? And my Manchester people, you guys can start this one.
So the pros of visiting a campus would kind of be how we touched on the first question, is you'll be able to see if you're comfortable there, whether you fit in, if you feel like you can succeed there. But also it gives you the opportunity to talk to professors and get to know the people that you'll be working with for the next 4 years. Get to know some of the current students, maybe talk to coaches while you're on campus to see if that's a good working relationship. As far as cons go, I mean, kind of leads into the next question, but it can be costly. The drive there, depending on how far it is, or the flight, depending on where it's located. So that's definitely one drawback for the college campus visit.
I think in addition to the cost of visiting a school monetarily, I think it can also be really time consuming. This is a pretty busy time of the year. If you're a senior especially, it might seem like the most logical time to visit. But I remember when I was going through the process, I didn't really feel like there was ever a good time for me my senior year to go visit. So with that said, I was thinking about it, and it seems to me like if you find that you have time your junior year or even your sophomore year, you can think ahead and try and get out and visit some college campuses when you're less busy. That might be a way to avoid one of the cons that we've pointed out about visiting college campuses. I think there are a lot of pros, and it's harder to think of cons. But the resources that go into it in terms of time and money are definitely something to be considered. So planning around those things seems like a prudent idea.
Awesome, good stuff. So we're gonna hop into question number 3, which sort of plays off of this question. And this was mentioned that campus visits can definitely be costly, especially if you have 15 schools on your list. Probably can't afford to go to all 15 schools realistically. So is there an alternative to visiting a college campus?
I think a lot of these, and this is the case with some of these questions, a lot of these things will be case by case, right? So what I would do if I were you is if you know there's a college you're interested in, see if their website has any sort of virtual tour or whatever kind of information it has there. I think schools are at different places in terms of how well cultivated their virtual tours are. I know ours is at Willamette isn't perfect right now, but I've also heard some students who said that they've checked it out and it made them want to come actually visit the campus. So I would check in with schools that you're interested in and see what sorts of virtual tours they offer, and usually you can just search on the website and find some cool stuff about that.
Here at Manchester, we're actually working on a virtual tour now, so we don't really have one quite yet, but that would be a great way. I mean, if I couldn't visit all the schools that I wanted to, definitely virtual tours would be the way to go. So, I mean, I think it's not being on campus, but I mean, it's as close as you can get without actually being there, so that's pretty cool. We actually have what are called Spartan cams, and so we have different cameras around campus. Like in the main dining hall or on top of the library, so you can see sort of what campus is like, what people are doing, that sort of thing. I know parents use it sometimes to check in on their kids. But yeah, that's a nice way to just see what it's like without, I mean, virtual tours, yeah, those are worked on before, but like our Spartan Cam, that's just all happening real time. No one knows what's going to go on there. So it's pretty cool. Nice way to see what campus is like, the interactions on campus.
And then pictures. I mean, you can find pictures of any campus on Google or their website and stuff. So be sure to look for those.
Well, and speaking of Google, if I might jump back in here, a lot of schools will have like Google Earth and like the street view is like in the campus on all the different paths. I know that's the case for Willamette. So maybe trying some outside resources, including if you know people who have gone to the college, that can be a really great way. You can talk with them about their experience and see how they fit in there. Again, getting back to that idea of fit that you can get from a college visit. And then resources outside of the university's website in terms of doing good research, so other websites that are out there that gather information about colleges, and again, that Google opportunity, the Google Earth, and looking for pictures.
Awesome, good stuff. So I'm hearing a lot, obviously, of using the interwebs, using the internet to really connect with the school if you're not able to physically go to campus, which is great. Using Google Maps is amazing. That's not something that I had thought about. And even utilizing social media, so using Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. A lot of schools will Snapchat, different parts of the university, or will, put up an Instagram video of, checking students out on the yard or different things like that. And obviously, while it isn't like being on the actual campus, you sort of get a sense of what it looks like and what the feel is and sort of what the campus environment is from a distance. So you guys rock, good stuff. So we are going to head on to the next question. So before a student actually gets to a college, how can they properly prepare for the visit? What are some things that they should do prior to getting on campus to make sure they're maximizing their time while they're visiting?
So I think some of the best ways to prepare, me personally, so at Manchester you meet with your admissions counselor when you go on a college visit, so I love questions. So if you come with questions, that's just the best for me. Like, do your research on the school. Make sure, it fits the criteria you're looking for. So, like, I've had students come and they're like, oh, this isn't as big as I thought, or different things like that. So, but definitely, look at the website, see what you find out, come with questions about the programs or student to faculty ratio or anything. I love questions. They're my favorite part. So that's what I'd say. Prepare those.
And I would encourage students to maximize their visit in a way where they set up meetings with professors and coaches. So that way they're getting more of just the admission standpoint. Maybe talk to players on their certain teams or people in their major. Ask them questions as well. So.
I think they said everything I would say. I think, well, actually, to spin the question thing in a different way, even if you don't have a ton of questions to ask, just being aware of what you're looking for and what you might want to listen for. Even if you don't have a specific question about financial aid, just being aware of the things that you're most interested in, that are most important to you in your college search process, so you can keep an ear out for those things and kind of perk up and listen. You're always listening when you're visiting, of course, but listen a little more intently when you're on the tour and they point out where the professor's offices are that you're interested in, that kind of thing.
Awesome, good stuff. Alrighty, we're going to go on to question number 5, and this question is specific to first-gen students. So what are some questions you'd suggest first-gen students ask during a college visit?
Well, I have a few specific questions that I think would be good to ask. First of all, I would ask specifically like how first-gen students are supported on the campus. I think that's something that a college should be prepared to respond to. And then I always think it's interesting to ask what the biggest events are, and a good way to ask that, I think, is to ask, like, what are the biggest events that people look forward to every year, like the big traditional events? What do people like to do on campus? Is it the big sports games? Is it a cultural event? Those kinds of things. And then another good thing to ask, I think, to get a kind of it can be a challenging question, but another question that I think is good for a college to be able to respond to is to ask them if they could change something about their college. Like, what would it be? You could ask your counselor this, the tour guide, whoever else, and I think it's a graceful way of asking, like, what's wrong with the college. You know, like, they're going to tell you all the great things about the college, but you can ask them if there's anything they would change. But I think in general, like, it's good to do your research before you visit, and even if there are questions you have that you could probably research or Google to find out, it doesn't hurt sometimes to ask those questions anyway, to hear what people have to say about that. So even though you can go online to learn about the application process, I think it can be helpful sometimes to ask those questions of the people who are actually there on the campus. Sometimes you might get not necessarily a different response, but you can get maybe a more human response than the text that's written on a website, that kind of thing.
One of the big questions that I think it is great for both the first generation student and their parents is, what are like the next steps? So people who apply, get all their application and stuff in, like, where do we go from here? Because they don't always know what to do after you apply, or like when, or maybe they don't know as much about FAFSA, that sort of thing. So definitely, like, what are the next steps? Where do we go from here? How do we move forward with your school or with the college process in general? I love talking about, like, first steps. I mean, even if the student's not all about Manchester, I mean, the goal is college. So that's one of the big ones for me.
Awesome, great. So the next question is sort of piggybacking off of this question. Some students may or may not know about these. I know a lot of college counselors know about these and teachers. But so what are fly-in programs, and how can they get first-gen students onto campus?
I think it probably depends on the school, right? So I would check in with the schools you're interested in, see if they have these programs, because I imagine if they do offer them, they'd be excited to tell you about them. But the general idea is that a school will pay to fly students to their campus. So this gives you an opportunity to, I think, get around the potentially prohibitive costs that we talked about earlier, and get yourself onto college campuses and see what that's all about. And for me, like, I think I mentioned at the very beginning that I didn't visit very many colleges when I went through the process, but I did get flown into Willamette. And actually, that was the one college I visited when I was going through the process, and it helped open my eyes to the value of visiting. And I did it kind of late in the process, so I didn't get to go back and visit a bunch of other schools. But I think it could be a great way to get yourself on a campus and think of a campus in a way that you may not necessarily have thought of before, if you're not able to visit otherwise.
I also, I don't think we offer a fly-in program. I know surrounding schools did. I, born and raised in Oregon, was affiliated with the Church of God, and the Church of God school over here flew me in, and I checked out their campus, loved it. Manchester wasn't really on my radar. I just didn't know much about it, but since I was in the area, I decided to visit, and ended up at Manchester. So it's also, I mean, don't take advantage of the program, but it's a great way to see other schools in different regions and just kind of explore those interests.
Absolutely, yeah. I always encourage students to take advantage of fly-in programs. Chelsea, like you said, even if it's not a school that you're particularly interested in, or it may not even be a school that you've heard of, because these opportunities allow you to get onto campus, and it may open your eyes to a school that you actually fall in love with. It may have been a place you've never heard of, but because you're part of the fly-in program, you're like, whoa, X, Y, and Z school is kind of awesome now. I kind of want to go here. So always being open to those opportunities, and I always encourage students to participate in fly-in programs. Number one, to obviously, get a sense of what campus is like, but also to connect with other first-gen students on that campus. Typically, fly-in programs, it's usually a group of students, whether it's a fly-in program or a multicultural open house or something of the sort. It's a group of students. So you'll be meeting other first-gen students who will potentially be your classmates or your friends or whatever. So again, getting a sense of sort of the social scene of the schools, these fly-in programs allow you to do that too. So never turn down the fly-in program, especially if it's free. Don't do it. So, all right. So we are going to move on to the next question, and this is a question that I've heard before, surprisingly. So, should a student visit a college with a group or by themselves, and does it really make a difference, or will it change sort of their experience while visiting the college campus?
So I actually work with group visits here at Manchester as well. So we have a lot of different groups come to campus. So there are definitely advantages to both. I more prefer the individual visit. I mean, it's more of that attention is on you. You're talking with the admissions counselor one-on-one. You have the chance to meet with a coach or a professor or sit in on a class, that sort of thing. But group visits are definitely a lot of fun too. I love working with them. You get to, I mean, it's more like general admissions presentation here. We sometimes have professors come in and talk to the group, but it's a lot more fun. Your friends are with you. I mean, I've had students who come with their friends, not as an official group visit, but just come visit with their friends just because they're all interested in Manchester. They want to see what it'll be like together. And actually, I have a group from last year that all came to Manchester together, and they came and visited. They're all here now. They have a suite on campus, so they all live together. It's a really good chance to see what it'll be like with friends that you already know. So yeah, I think they're both great. I would say try One Beach. It never hurts if you can make it to that school twice. If your school's doing a field trip there and you want to go by yourself, definitely do One Beach if possible, but it never hurts.
I think the only other difference I can think of that wasn't already mentioned was that, like, that the individual piece of it when you're visiting by yourself, you also get to focus on yourself and your own experience in a different way than if, like, you had all your friends there and you're trying to look cool or something and be with your friends, that kind of thing. Like, you're able to focus on yourself and put yourself in that mind text without the context of the group around you is the only other difference I can think of. But I think in a lot of cases, a group visit is a great opportunity that I wouldn't pass up. If your school does bus trips or something like that, I wouldn't pass that up. Even if you would prefer to do an individual visit, because I think any chance to get on a college campus is something that I would encourage you to take advantage of.
Awesome, good stuff. So I'm hearing the individual visit is great because it allows, the visit to just focus on you and your likes and your interests, which is great. But then also, group visits are cool too because you probably feel a bit more at ease, relaxed, you're with your friends or whomever, and you're probably more likely to ask questions while you're with a group of people that you're comfortable with as opposed to being by yourself. I know I went on a group visit with my Nana. I went on a group visit, but an individual visit with my grandma, and it wasn't good at all. Just because the tour guide intimidated me, and she was intimidating me. It was just very stressful. But completely different when you're going with a group visit. I was with all my friends. I'm asking all of the questions because I'm just super excited that we're all in this together. So as you guys mentioned, pros and to each sort of type of visit. Alrighty, so the next question kind of goes into something that we already talked about a little bit, but if a student is unable to visit a college campus, do you suggest that they just completely cross that school off their list? Why or why not?
I think, like earlier, Chelsea, you said like you wouldn't buy a car without test driving it, and I think that's probably good advice. And I think most people do visit the college they end up attending. But I guess anecdotally, and anecdotes don't constitute data by any means, but I've heard from a lot of people who haven't visited their college or haven't visited Willamette, and they decide to go for whatever reason, and they end up really enjoying it. And actually, I've heard that a lot from parents of people who are visiting, is that when they were going through the process, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, they would apply to schools and then just go to them. Like there wasn't this college visit process. They would just enroll at a school and go to college. So I think if you don't get a chance to visit a school, but it still draws your interest and you feel like it would still be a good fit, for whatever reasons you have, I wouldn't discourage you from considering it further, just because you can't visit a campus. Because I think there are plenty of people who don't visit their colleges and end up having a great time there. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I don't think you should cross it off just because you can't visit. I don't know, you could, if it fits all the things that you're looking for, like say you're looking for a big school or a small school, if it's that, if has the major you're interested in, if it has all of those things, I mean, I could try and make the best of it. I mean, go out, make friends, see what it's like. Yeah, I don't think you should cross it off.
If you can't visit, I would definitely encourage you to do more extensive research on student life. Maybe reach out to current students or alumni. That way, get a different input.
Yeah, see what's going on, see what's fun. Like, yeah, you're going to college to study, but you gotta have fun too. See what events are going on, that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. If a student can't visit the college campus, as Chelsea said, do some really extensive research. So, because you can't visit, you obviously can't sort of see the surrounding community of the school, or the happenings in the community around the school. So you just have to be a little bit more proactive in your college search and research, and learn a little bit more about what's happening around the college campus. But again, if it's a school that you love and it has everything on your list, I would say go for it. And I'm not an expert. You guys are an expert, and since they said go for it, you gotta go for it. Alrighty, so we are going to move on to our next question, and this goes into something that Wesley mentioned a little bit earlier. So, when visiting a college campus, how can a student tell if that school just is not for them? So, sort of, what are some sort of red flags or warning signs that a student should pay attention to?
I think kind of. Oh, go ahead. Answer. All right. So I think that if you go visit a college, and this is I think both kind of intangible, like harder to figure out, but also kind of obvious and pretty important. Like if you don't feel welcome there, or you don't feel like you fit in there, and you don't feel like students welcome each other and greet each other. That's something I've heard a lot. Is on our campus people do tend to see that. So I imagine if it was the opposite, people wouldn't want to go there anymore. And then another thing too is that, like, see if people seem dedicated, first of all, to academics. Like if people don't seem serious about being a student, then that might not be a great place for you. But then you can expand that to whatever else you're interested in. So if you're interested in theater, the arts, athletics, or different clubs, and if people aren't interested or excited about those things, then that place might not be the best fit for you. If you are excited about those things, you might not find other people who are interested in being a part of that aspect of the community.
One of the big things for me is if you feel at home. So kind of like saying that fit. You're, like I said earlier, you're going to be there for the next 4 years. So better to feel at home than I don't want to feel like an outsider or not feel welcome, that sort of thing. So definitely if you feel at home, here in Manchester, we're all about community. So we try and get all of our students to see that. We have visits, like you can schedule a visit when we're on breaks or different things like that, but we always encourage them when our students are here. That way they can see what the community's like. They can see everyone greeting each other outside, just walking across campus, or having a snowball fight or whatever. That's a big thing for me. I didn't want to go anywhere where I didn't feel at home, so I think you guys should have to.
Yeah. Touching on that homey feeling, I mentioned it before, I was from Oregon and went all the way to Indiana for college, so feeling at home was the top of my priority list for college. And all the schools I visited, I loved. I loved the schools that I visited. Nothing bad happened on the campus tours, but when I stepped onto Manchester campus, like, I felt at home. I knew it was the place for me. Like, I knew from the moment I got onto campus. Not everybody, you may not experience that golden moment when you know it's for you. I hope that you do, because it's great. But for me, I just knew that it was the right spot. So maybe you'll just get that feeling.
Awesome, good stuff. So I'm hearing, obviously, comfort and just being able to be yourself and feeling like that campus is the place to be. That's that's the feeling you're going for once you're on a college campus. If you don't get that, you're on campus and students aren't saying hi to you, and you're just like, what? This isn't what it looked like in the brochure. This isn't what I thought it would be. Maybe that's not a school that you want to apply to anymore. But definitely, I think a lot of times students always hear about what they should be looking for in a college and sort of what are the sort of positives they need to be looking for. But a lot of times we don't talk about, well, what are some of the drawbacks, or what are some sort of the red flags. So we just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Alrighty, so we are at our last question to sort of sum up everything that we talked about. We already know college visits are extremely, extremely big in the college application process. So do you guys have maybe 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 tips, no pressure, that you'd like to share with first-generation students, but just students in general, in terms of the college visit process, and sort of your top 3 things that, if you could tell every student that you come across, what are the 3 things that you would tell them to do to make the absolute most of their college visit? No pressure, but a little bit.
Okay, so let's see. I hope I can come up with 3. I can do it. So, one of my big ones is ask questions, like we've talked about the whole time. Ask those harder questions, or maybe we'll catch your admissions counselor off guard. Those are, I don't know, those ones are fun. Helps you get to know, like they were saying earlier, you can Google it, you can do all that, but it might be nicer to get more of that personal answer, that one-on-one sort of thing. Another thing is imagine yourself there. If you're going to play sports, imagine yourself playing on the field, or imagine yourself in a class that you walk by and see, that sort of thing. Put yourself there, see if, oh yeah, I could do this, I could be here. Yeah. Do you have one?
I can add on to yours.
Okay.
We can make 3.
Okay, cool.
I always encourage students to take notes on their campus tours. You're probably going to visit more than one college campus, and we encourage that. We want you to visit more. And things might blend together after a while. You might, forget whose athletic facility you really liked, or whose dorm you really liked. Because doing all these campus tours in such a short amount of time, things will blend together. So take notes and take pictures so you can refer back to that. And then maximize your day. I know I already touched on this, but don't just talk to your admissions counselor. Talk to professors, talk to coaches, go to classes, eat the food. If they offer overnight visits, maximize your visit. That way, you can really tell if you belong at that campus, if you fit in, and if it's the place for you for the next 4 years.
I just forgot my third one. We'll see if it comes back. But I know I have 2. So I think we've talked a lot about doing your research and being as prepared as possible for your visit. And with all that said, I think that's all a great idea. But also try and be prepared to have an open mind when you go visit campuses. I think if you do a bunch of research, you might go in with a certain idea or a certain bias, I guess, about the college one way or another. So trying to still have at least part of your mind opened to it being different than what you expected is probably a good way to go. And then when you're on campus, you'll probably have a tour guide you're meeting with, an admission counselor, maybe even a professor. But I would advise you to try and talk to as many people as possible during your visit, even if they're not necessarily a part of the admission process or a part of your visit to the campus. And I was thinking about this, and I realized that colleges are very diverse places, so a lot of people will have different opinions and different perspectives, and the more of those perspectives you can get, the better. And then my third one was that, the whole point of this is talking about visiting campuses, but I would say visit as many campuses as you can. So for me, growing up north of Seattle, I was kind of foolish. I had a dozen schools I could have visited within an hour, and I didn't visit any of them, but I did go to visit Willamette, and that kind of, it's weird to say this because I had a great experience there, and I'm working there now, but I kind of wish I would have gone back and visited more schools. I hope I would still end up at Willamette if I did that. But the point is that I didn't take advantage of the opportunity. So I always want to advise people to, if you have any chances to visit any sorts of schools, I think a lot can be gained from that, as you've learned from all the questions we've been answering throughout this whole thing.
Awesome, good stuff. And while I am no expert, you guys are the experts. I do have two that I can contribute. Not really contributing. I'm just kind of stealing with what Wesley said and just piggybacking off of it. But really, taking advantage of, well, I'm not going to say it that way. That's weird. Talking to people around you while you're on the campus. I didn't want to say taking advantage of people because that would have been me. But talking to people that are around you on campus, especially to current students. I know as a high school student it may be a little weird to walk up to someone, hey, I'm in high school and I'm thinking about going here, what's it like? But, you know, try to, if that's not something you're comfortable with, maybe that's something that you could do easier if you are with a group of your friends. So this goes back to sort of our group versus individual visit. But definitely see what students say on the campus. I mean, you're aspiring to be one of them. You're hoping to be a college student on this particular campus. So really see what they say and what their thoughts and opinions about the campus would be. Obviously, admissions folks and tour guides are going to tell you it's the best place on earth because that's their job. That's what they're going to tell you. But really getting it from, sort of the horse's mouth, really hearing it from the people, from the students who actually live and work there and go to school there. That's definitely key. And I forgot what my second one was, but that is A-okay because you guys did an amazing job of summing up really the college visit and sort of how students can make the most of their time there. So I definitely want to thank you all for taking time out on your Monday. I know you're probably like prepping to go home for Thanksgiving. I appreciate you just taking the hour or so out of your time to do this Google Hangout. We really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you all so much. For the students that are watching, thank you so much for tuning in to our Google Hangout. We are going to archive this on our website, and we are going to blast it all over social media. So if you need to watch it and stop and come back, it is here. And we'll also be including links to the great colleges that are represented here, so you can learn more about their universities, and maybe you'll run into them again as you visit one of their college campuses. So good stuff. But again, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this Google Hangout. And that's it for today. Check us out next month when we'll be doing another Hangout. We don't know what the topic is yet. Well, I do, but you guys don't. You just have to tune in and see what it is. So until then, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the opportunity. Have a great week, everybody.
No problem.
Yes, thank you. Have a wonderful week. And go visit colleges.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.